That's really nice. I really like this plan.
So does Jen.
How do you make that transition? You know, from mining in one place to the next? It's really difficult, and it's a thing that a lot of miners get wrong. You know, Parker Schnabel didn't just strike gold. He dug up something ancient, hidden deep in the frozen earth, and it sent chills through the crew. What started as a normal dig turned into a fight against floods, ice, and something buried that wasn't gold. Machines sank, pumps vanished, and millions were nearly lost in a pit that wouldn't stop flooding. Let us take you to the moment Parker's excavator hit something smooth, strange, and not of this time. Secrets in the permafrost. Parker Schnabel had been chasing a big claim for years. Now he had one. Everyone expected him to be pumped, but Parker knew this land was going to be real trouble. What started as a hunt for treasure turned into a muddy mess full of ice, floods, and old bones, real old bones. And deep beneath the surface, something waited, something that should have never been disturbed. At first, it was all about that sweet yellow metal. But while chewing through a frozen spot, the excavator hit something solid. Not rock, not junk. This thing was smooth, curved, and stuck in hard ice. The crew dragged it out and wiped it down. Not shiny, not metal. It was a woolly mammoth tusk, thousands of years old and still fresh enough to raise the hair on your arms. It was not the only one. The land had more secrets. Big, white, frozen secrets. The kind collectors lose their minds over. Ivory this clean can be worth millions, but Parker did not rush to sell it. He did not want the mountain of papers that came with it. Being in this situation, but seems like I constantly find myself in this kind of situation. He wanted the story. He kept the tusks, cleaned them, put them in his private collection, right next to massive teeth and other wild stuff. These were not just decorations. They were proof that the land held more than just gold. But the dirt was not done throwing surprises. In another dig, his bucket snagged what looked like a thick tree root. Only it was not a tree. It was another tusk, and other crews were finding the same weird things. Tony Beats pulled one out from another site. Looked like a jawbone at first, but it was another frozen relic from the deep cold past. These things were older than any coin or gear they were chasing. The gold was the goal, but the real treasure, it was what time had buried. Later down in Australia, Parker came face to face with a copy of the biggest gold nugget ever found. It was called the Welcome Stranger. This thing was so huge, the old-timers had to break it into 3 chunks just to weigh it. The real one is long gone, melted into bars, but 2 replicas are still around. That moment reminded Parker that this game was bigger than ounces. It was about chasing the stuff of legends. Then came the real mess. At a place called the Wolf Cut, Parker thought he had found the jackpot. Millions just waiting underground. The nice thing where the pump is right now is it's up enough that it should be high and dry. And it's low enough that, you know, that suction hose should still be plenty in the water. That breaks over there and this water table drops back down. He brought in the machines, dug deep, then deeper. But the ground was ready to fight back. Water. Buckets of it. It started small. A trickle. A bit of mud. Then the walls of the pit gave out. Pumps failed. The whole thing turned into a lake. Machines stuck. Pay dirt buried. Millions lost. Parker was not even there when it hit. His crew scrambled. They brought in more pumps. Ran hoses. Dug a deep hole to drain the water. For a while, it looked like they had it under control. But the ground had other ideas. The frozen dirt had been holding the water back. But when the ice cracked, everything changed. A hidden tunnel opened up. It was like someone had unplugged a dam. Water came pouring in. They tried to fight it. 3 pumps ran all night. They got rid of 10 million gallons. Still not enough. One morning they showed up, and the main pump was missing. Turned out it had sunk under 4 feet of water. Someone had to paddle across just to pull it out. Parker was aiming for a deep pay layer buried 30 feet down. But they had to cut through frozen mud in the edge of an old pond. Every scoop brought more water. Every hour lost more money. One problem got fixed. Another popped up. One wall broke. Then the pump. Then the other wall. The team pushed. The hours ticked away. They were hoping to pull out more than 1,000 ounces. That is more than $14 million. One mess-up could ruin the whole season. Then they hit gold. Not just tiny specks. A full-blown streak. The kind of stuff that makes crews forget the cold. It changed everything. Almost. Because even with that win, Parker was staring at a massive debt. $15 million. That is what he owed. Machines. Fuel. Repairs. Crew. Every little mistake burned through cash. Winter was closing in. Fast. The claim still needed work. Parker's right-hand man, Tyson, had to move the wash plant. A 90,000-pound beast. They had to take it apart, move it uphill, and rebuild it before the sun came up. No room for slip-ups. Tyson handled it. Barely. But the job showed how close everything was to falling apart. One bolt breaks, one wrong move, and it was over. Once they were digging again, the gold started rolling in. Over 8,000 ounces. That meant $14 million. A massive haul, but every hour was still a gamble. That season was not just about shiny rocks. It was war. Against cold. Against wet ground. Against time. Against breakdowns. Parker found gold, but what he really found was just how crazy mining can get. The deeper they went, the more the earth pushed back. Ice turned to mud. Mud turned to rivers. Pumps were running day and night. The crew looked like zombies. Tired, dirty, but locked in. There were days when they drained 10 million gallons just to keep digging. Other days they watched it flood right back in. And just when things looked steady, another disaster hit. The wash plant site got soggy. The machine started sinking. The crew had to drag in wood to stop it from falling over. Tyson and the rest of the team were working around the clock. No breaks, no shortcuts, just sweat and mud. They had one shot to hit the gold before the ground froze solid. When they finally stood next to the clean-out tray and saw the pile of gold, there were no cheers. Just quiet looks, relief, exhaustion, maybe even shock. You know, I just got the 750 back, which is the best news I've had all week. That means I can turn this wash plant back up and we can get back to running 220 yards an hour. The season's total came out to 8118 ounces. That is 14 million worth of gold. But Parker also had 364,000 in gold sitting on the line. He made that on a gamble, moved the wash plant, risked it all, and it worked. Still, the debt hung over him. Every machine needed fixing, every crew member needed pay. The operation was massive. The pressure, even bigger, and he was still chasing more. In the Dominion claim, Parker had another big shot. But the land was hard. The heat was worse. Everything was on edge. They were planning to move the plant again. Tyson set the goal. Get it up and running before the next sunrise. They had one machine that weighed more than 90,000 pounds. They used a giant excavator to haul pieces up a steep hill. It was not easy, not safe, but they got it done, piece by piece. They rebuilt it. Conveyor, hopper, frame. Everything had to be perfect. Once it stood tall on its new pad, the crew took a breath. For the first time in weeks, they felt ready. The next load of pay dirt was just waiting to be washed. With $364,000 sitting in gold and everything lined up again, all eyes were on Parker. The gold was there. But could he keep it coming? Just when Parker thought the storm had passed, someone else made a move that shook the mining world in a whole new way. A comeback written in cold soil. Todd Hoffman just dropped a nugget of news big enough to wake up the whole gold-digging world. What did he do? Just bought himself a brand new gold mine in the Yukon. Yep. Way up in that wild, cold place where you can lose a boot and $1 million before lunch. The internet didn't waste time. People started whispering, maybe yelling that Todd might be cooking up another run for the camera. A comeback? A fresh crew? A new mess of machines to break down in the middle of nowhere? Could be. Todd wasn't just some background guy on that gold show. He helped make the whole thing happen. Back when the cameras were still warming up, it was his idea to chase shiny dirt in Alaska, drag his father Jack along and convince a crew to film it. From the very first moment to season number 8, that guy was front and center, throwing out big plans and tripping over even bigger problems. There were wins, a few, but there were also disasters you could feel through the television screen. Claims that dried up quicker than a puddle in the sun. Machines that coughed their last breath halfway through the job. Fights, shouting, dreams crashing into rocks. People watched every bit of it. Some rooted for him. Others shook their heads, but they kept tuning in. And a big chunk of them stayed even when he walked off the set. When Todd packed up after season number 8, the show shifted. That rough and tumble energy dipped. Fans noticed. They missed the Hoffmans rolling through ice and mud like a gold-hungry circus act. But a couple years later, Todd showed up again. All right, Dad, why don't you guys get ready for the very last cleanup? We're going to be pulling mats. Bring them up here. And this will be it. Last cleanup. Then winterize? Okay, this time with a new series where he tried to pull another crumbling mine back from the edge. He called it Hoffman Family Gold. No fancy words there. That show stuck around for 3 seasons, ending in the summer of 2024. The final nail came in a short post online that disappeared faster than snow in spring. Todd said the network let their deal run out. That was it. No more filming. No more crew. Nobody knows the real story. Maybe ratings dipped too low. Maybe Todd wanted more control behind the scenes. Maybe someone just didn't want another season of busted excavators and broken dreams. Doesn't really change anything. The show shut down, but Todd didn't. He kept sniffing around the gold world. In late March of 2025, he went public again. Said he picked up a gold mine in the Yukon, maybe even thinking about snagging another one. He said it clearly, not some vague tease. That's all it took for the rumor pot to boil over. People started guessing. Was this just about mining, or were cameras getting clean for another season? Some fans cheered, "Bring back the crew, bring back the chaos." Others looked closer. How was he paying for all this? Mines in the Yukon don't come cheap. Neither does moving dirt in that kind of cold. Maybe he found investors. Maybe the television folks are whispering again. Or maybe he hit it big with another one of his side projects. And about the Yukon, people dream about that place. But it's not easy. It's wild, full of old stories and way harder than it looks. Snow comes early. Roads vanish. Everything's expensive. If Todd's putting down roots up there, he's not just chasing sparkly rocks. He's committing to freezing wind, steep rules, and huge bills. And Todd, he's not staying quiet. Been dropping hints like breadcrumbs, flying over wide land plots with no voiceover. Just a shaky camera, posting here and there about plans, about dreams, but never the whole picture. Last month, someone spotted him eyeing a bulldozer, not just browsing, looking serious. Shift means even more grueling hours at night. They're tired, they're worn out, but we've got to keep pushing all the way to the goal line, especially because our equipment just keeps breaking down and we're losing hours. That kind of window shopping usually means work is coming. Old followers remember the messes, machines falling apart, crews getting stuck, dreams going sideways before breakfast. They also remember the faces. His father, Jack, and that longtime partner, Dave. They were part of what made the original show click. If Todd is rallying them again, things might just get louder. Still, there's a crowd who doesn't forget the wild moves, the big promises that fizzled, the trips to far-off places that turned into pricey vacations with nothing to show for them. Guyana still makes people laugh or groan. That one? Nothing short of a gold-seeking disaster. And yet people couldn't stop watching. Maybe Todd's gotten sharper. Maybe there's a new plan. More thinking. Fewer breakdowns. But no one turns on the screen for smooth spreadsheets and quiet meetings. They want to see trucks stuck in mud in hopes riding on the last gallon of fuel. That's what built the buzz. Some fans even tossed around jokes. Maybe Parker Schnabel pawned off some rusty equipment at a sky-high price. Maybe Todd's gold came from something totally off the wall, like selling t-shirts or dropping music albums. Folks online love spinning wild tales. No official word from the television network. Not a whisper about a new show or a fresh season. But all this smoke? It's hard to miss. If Todd's bringing the whole crew back, if someone's pointing a camera at that Yukon dirt, things are going to move. Todd's still got that spark. The name alone still pulls people in. Love him or doubt him. He makes noise. He swings big. Whether he's winning gold or dragging a dead dozer through frozen ground, people watch. Not because it's always pretty, but because it's never boring. Right now, all that's confirmed is this. Todd Hoffman bought a new mine. Maybe another on the way. He's been flying, filming, and maybe flirting with another round under the lights. No promises, no big speech. But it's all happening loud enough to get folks talking again. While the headlines followed the big names, one man kept grinding behind the scenes until the weight of it all finally hit. The son who stayed in the cab. Mike has been hauling rock and fixing gear since he was a teenager. Not at some backyard job either. This was Yukon level. Freezing cold, machine-busting gold mining, and yet you'd barely know it. While his sister and brother climbed the ranks, Mike stayed where the dirt hits the boots. Always behind the scenes, always under the heavy shadow of his father. His father is a giant in the mining world, ran massive sites, made piles of cash, barked orders like a drill sergeant. Everyone knows the name. Loud, proud, and worth more than $15 million. Mike brings in around $500,000 a year. That sounds big until you realize it is just a slice compared to the fortune the old man has stacked up. And that's before you even count what his siblings pull in from running the business side. Mike never chased the spotlight. Cameras? Not his thing. While others posed for attention, Mike stayed in the cab of those giant rigs, pushing dirt and moving tons of gravel. He could drive anything, fix just about everything, and never let the crew fall behind. Are you okay? Mikey? I'm fine. Are you okay? I'm fine. Can someone go get my dad? I'm gonna call my dad because this is an actual bad problem. But skill didn't mean less pressure. His dad ran things tight. Mistakes were not welcome. The pressure hit hardest in silence. Radio silence. Calls from his father. No answer. Not because of a bad signal. Just no reply. One day, a big machine broke down. His father called once. Twice. Still no word from Mike. Then came the yelling. Loud and sharp. Finally, Mike answered. Voice cold, saying he was not interested. Cameras rolled. But Mike snapped, told the crew to step back. He wasn't playing a part. Things took a hard turn later. Mike was moving a wash plant, a beast of a machine weighing more than 25 tons. Tried to handle a tight curve. The plant tipped. Dust flew. Steel crashed. The whole thing slammed into the ground. The crew jumped in to film it. But Mike was having none of that. Told him straight, touch that camera and it would be gone. His father showed up and saw the damage. That wash plant cost around $300,000. The look on his face said it all. Mike said he hadn't been speeding. Claimed it was bad luck, but his father wasn't hearing it. The tension between them showed up in every glare. Every word left unsaid. What sets Mike apart isn't just what he does at the mine. It's what he does after. He trains in medieval combat. Armor, swords, full-on battles from another time. Not something you'd expect, but it fits. While others show off online, Mike disappears. No updates, no photos, no talk about family. Nobody knows if he's married, dating, or just keeping things private. He started mining at 13, learned everything on the job, never asked for a title. Never needed praise, just kept showing up, day after day, year after year. Quiet, steady, real. Is Mike hiding something, or just tired of being seen? Drop your thoughts below. Hit like, and don't forget to subscribe.